Hello. Welcome to day 3 of Unbecoming. I'm really excited. I mean, I've been excited for every single day, but today I've kind of changed what I'm going to share with you and bring into two different concepts because I think it's going to be relevant and really help. And I can't help but share everything. If you're new here, definitely go and check out episode 1 and episode 2. Unbecoming is a free 5-day training series that I've created for high achieving women to unlock their potential to be able to rewrite their reality. We look specifically at my woman mastery, so my WoMastery framework, which is all about identity, it's all about subconscious reprogramming, and it's also about nervous system regulation. It is also inspired by my brand new 4-month personal growth mastermind, WoMastery, which will, in a nutshell, teach you all of these things. And it's not about living a stress-free life. It's not about waking up with a positive mindset. Those are amazing byproducts, but what it really does in this framework I've seen in all my clients over nearly 5 years now is be able to teach you how to deepen the relationship with yourself, deepen the other relationships you have in your life, welcome more abundance, whether it's in the form of money or experiences, be able to connect to your purpose and your authentic self, and the most important thing is build self trust. So this series is for all women. It's inspired by Will Mastery, the mastermind. All women who are looking really to develop all of those things and to feel better in themselves. And today specifically, we are looking at the second pillar for my Will Mastery framework. There's connection, evolution, and awareness. Today we are looking at the evolution, the second piece. We're going to be looking at fears. We're going to be looking at limiting beliefs. And the reason I am bringing in two concepts is because I think they're going to help one another. Now, as always, I want to keep this so clear and concise. This might go a little bit longer than the other trainings just because I'm bringing in two concepts, but we will see. If you love this, if you have any questions, make sure you are writing out your questions. If you want to apply for Will Mastery, we officially open tomorrow, but you can apply watching this series. Then you can just go to the show notes, you can click the link and you can apply there. It is a January 2024 start. However, if you're watching this later down the track, it's an on rolling mastermind. So you can apply at any point. And then the next round, if you're successful, if it's a right fit, and this is why I do application, I don't believe in just putting something out there and thinking that everyone is going to benefit from it. I want to make sure that it's a right fit. It's a mastermind. It's really intimate. It's not so much group coaching where you're learning and getting workshop to. This is really about collaboration. This is really about expansive support and seeing your blind spots. So that interests you, definitely just go to the link or you can send me a DM on Instagram at just Pinili. But let's get into today's free training. I'm so excited. So, what are fears? Fears are things that stem from our resentments, our past memory, our past resentments. Now, there is a specific framework that does require me to kind of show visually. So, I'm just going to try to explain it now in a simplified term so we don't need the visuals. And this is what I teach all my clients. But basically, if we look at something, what I call the emotional matrix, the emotional matrix understands that the law of polarities. So with one pole, we also experience the opposite pole. You can't have one without the other. Yin and yang, peace and war, love and hate, all of that. And so the emotional matrix really looks at the fear process of neutralization. This is, of course, I just want to preface this by saying I'm trying to keep this as concise. So I'm trying to just give you the juiciest bits. When we have a fear, we are oscillating to one side of the emotional matrix, the fear side, the lower vibrational side, right? Now, if you imagine that the screen is cut in fours and the point here is neutralization, this line here, and this intersection here is neutralization. It is equilibrium. It is our soul. It is our intuition. That is our aim to get to. Now, fear would be down here. So imagine we've got the line here. Fear is here. On the other side, like I said, is resentment. This is a past memory, and a fear is a future imagination from the past memory. Then, on top of the higher vibration, we do have infatuation, the opposite of resentment here, and fantasy, the opposite of fear here. The aim isn't to live in infatuation or fantasy. The aim is to come into the neutralized place. Now, the one part I'm going to focus on and teaching you today and go through right now is understanding how a fear stems from a past resentment. I think that when we realize that we have a fear, maybe a fear of judgment, a fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of not of being seen, of not being seen. There's so many different fears, but I think that sometimes we don't really understand the root of where we have developed that and where that has come from. And so what I want you to understand that the fear cannot be present in a future imagination. Remember, it has not happened yet. It cannot be present in the future imagination without stemming from something that has come from your past. So the very first step, think of the current fear that is coming to mind. Maybe you are wanting to start an online business and you have this fear of judgment. Where in your past have you actually experienced being judged? Maybe I'll do some other examples. Maybe you have a fear of failure. Where in your past have you actually failed? Where have you experienced failure? Imagine you have a fear of success. So, fear of success, a lot of people think that when they first hear that, why would I fear success? I want the promotion, or I want my business to look like this, or I want that type of money, or I want the cars and the accolades and the wealth and the status. But think about fear of success is getting what you want, which equals change, which dysregulates our nervous system, which, by the way, in the last 2 days, tomorrow and Friday, we will be going into the nervous system. So I'm not going to touch too heavily on this. But when that arises, that is change. So it doesn't feel comfortable in our body. It doesn't, it feels like a threat. And so that is fear of success. And so maybe you have been successful in the past and maybe it wasn't what you wanted it to be. Or maybe from there it stemmed to fear of judgment because people are like, oh, look what you've got. And they're putting you down or demeaning you. So I really want you to take the time, like even pausing this, like I say, in the past two trainings, and I will continue to say for all of the other trainings, is these watching these trainings is not enough. Getting a little dopamine hit is not enough. Being able to sit here and just digest it or listen to it on your walk or while you're driving is not enough. I am giving you the specific workshop things that I give my clients so you are able to make a change and start making a change with things that are really practical. I'm all for the energetic stuff and I've mentioned some of those things, but the practicality of being able to have frameworks that you kind of take for yourself and see how they work in life, that's where the change is going to happen. Now, as I said, writing down your fears, the immediate fears, go into it and then ask yourself, where have I experienced it? Now, this this is the juicy part. When you isolate one of your fears and you understand the resentment of where it comes from. Now, let's say you have a fear of judgment because in high school you got judged for having your hair cut a certain way. And maybe you thought it was really cool and you really wanted it. And then you got to school and all the kids were making fun of you. All the kids were laughing at you. All the kids were calling you names or calling you weird or whatever it may be. And so what has happened is that has literally gotten, like, your mind has grabbed onto that as a little emotional charge. Think about this as a side note, but think about people that you know. Maybe this is, you recognize this in yourself, but people who are the most resentful are normally the most fearful because they are walking around with lots of emotional charges. They hold on to things. Ever heard someone that is still hung up of how an ex treated them 10 years ago, or still angry about something that their parents did 20 years ago, right? And it can be even, they are still mad about someone cutting them off in traffic a week ago. These are the people that are the most charged, the most reactive. If you find yourself, again, the side note to all of this, but if you find yourself really reactive, if you find yourself really explosive, you're struggling to manage your emotions, and this is exactly what we go into in WoMastery, but what I wanted to share with you is that is a sign that you are holding on to all of these past resentments. That is a sign that you are literally just a bubble of charge. So Going back to the example, you wanted to cut your hair a certain way. You cut your hair a certain way, and then all of a sudden, all the kids at school were making fun of you. They make fun of you, they tease you, they call you weird, they tell you you look funny. And so you have now got this ball of charge. It is a resentment. Now, let's say 10 years later, when you're 25 and you've finally decided you're going to start showing up on social media because you want to grow a following or you want to start a business, or you want to start content creation, in your mind, you go, well, I have a fear of judgment. I have a big fear of judgment. I have a fear of what people are going to say to me. Little do you know, that fear of judgment has actually stemmed from that ball of charge when you were 15 years old. Now, this is the kicker. Normally, what happens is our fears stem from many balls of charge. If you write fear of judgment and you go back into all your resentments, there's probably several moments. Maybe it's that time at school. Maybe it's a time you wore a dress and your mum made a comment. Maybe it's a time that you had an opinion in a group setting and people looked at you weird. So then you got really scared and anxious, right? All if we don't neutralize, and I'm gonna teach you how in a second, but if we don't neutralize these charges, what starts to happen is, again, we become a ball of charge and we live with so much fear. Have you ever met anyone that has all of these aspirations, or they say, how good would it be? Or I would love to do this, or I'd love to climb Mount Everest, I'd love to start painting as a hobby, and I'd love to start this social media or this TikTok, or I want to do this and X and Y Z, or I want to live in another country. And then you have a conversation with them a year, 2, 3 years later, and nothing has changed. They have not done anything. They're in the same exact cycle. These are the people that are living in fear because they have so many balls of charged resentment that they have been stacking up over time. And maybe you resonate with that in yourself, but I definitely know a lot of people I've had conversations with, and they're in the exact same place, right? And this is how debilitating fear can be. So, from there, understand what those charges are. Now, every time you get a charge, the neutralization part, and I go into depth in this in the mastermind, but the part that is going to help you neutralize is understanding what the benefits are. So going back to what I said at the start, right? We've got the screen cut into four quadrants, and as I said, this middle line here is the equilibrium, it's the soul, it's the intuition. We want to always raise a low vibrational to that point, or we want to bring down the high vibrational, the fantasy and the infatuation, to the neutralization. Because, for example, I'm not going to go into this in this training, but if you were in the fantasy or putting someone on a pedestal, you don't really see them. You're not neutralizing because you don't really see them for who they are. So you need to bring them down to the neutral point. So for the resentment of the example that I've given, okay, you realize the resentment comes from when you got a haircut, people are teasing you, and all you can think about was how terrible it was and how bad you felt and how crappy you felt inside about yourself and what that did to your inner child. Now, to neutralize, bring it up to the line by going through every single benefit that you can think of. And it's not good enough to look at that for this example and go, oh, well, a benefit is like it good thing that happened because I changed my hair and I actually liked it better, right? We need to go deeper. And some things that I do with my clients is sometimes they will give me a benefit when we through this neutralization process. And I will say, but why is that a benefit? And that is exactly what I want you to do for yourself. This, if it's anything, like everything I'm teaching you over the next 5 days is so powerful. But if it's anything that is really going to help you start to shift the way you think about life, live life, and the way that you manage your emotions, this is it. And when you do it thoroughly, when you do it correctly, when you do it intention, you will be able to neutralize the things that are holding you now in fear. So go through the benefits and keep asking yourself, okay, but why is this a benefit? Why has this turned out to be a benefit to me? And the goal is to neutralize it, is to basically be a 0 or 1. So if I asked you right now, fear of judgment, how much is that charging you? And maybe for you, oh, sorry, go back to the resentment. That scenario that happened with your friends, how much is that charging you? Maybe you're like, it's a 9. I was 15. I was really upset and all of this. It was a bit of bullying. I'm 9 out of 10 charged. You want to get that down to a 0 or 1. I promise you, Do this thoroughly and consistently, and it will help you, and practice it in your day to day. When someone cuts you off in traffic, do it. What was the benefits of that happening? When someone you're at a supermarket and someone takes the last bag of chips that you wanted, what's the benefit of that? Even though those may not add up to the bigger things in life and the things that we desire, though if we practice in those small moments, someone taking our bag of chips and being able to neutralize that, it's going to become habit. And it's going to become easier for us to sit down and realize, okay, that charge from when I was 15, from when I was 20, when I was 10, let's go through it. Now, on this, the second concept that I wanted to share and framework I wanted to teach you today is very similar to this. So it kind of like feeds into this, but it's about limiting beliefs. Basically, this is a neutralization thing as well. What limiting beliefs do you have? Now, was it day two or day one where I got you to write down the different areas of your life? In those different areas of life, I need you to go through those limiting beliefs. What do you believe to be true about your money? What do you believe to be true about your career or your business? What do you believe to be true about your health? What do you believe to be true about your relationships? Write it down. The step from there is then what is the anti-belief? So what is the opposite to your belief? Remember everything works in polar opposites. There cannot be a belief of I I'm trying to think. Okay, if we're using like colors, complementary opposites. I hate blue. Well, then the opposite to that, looking at complementary colors, would be I like orange, right? I like blue, even that. So that was a terrible example, but you get what I mean. Get what I mean is you meet people and maybe you have very strong opinions and beliefs around certain things. There's no right or wrong. It's just about neutralizing yourself. So finding the anti-belief, the complete opposite. If you grew up let's do a better example. If you grew up with the example, I have to work really, really hard for money, what is the complete opposite to that? The complete opposite to that is I make money effortlessly. I don't stress about making money, or I only have to do a small amount of work to earn money, right? Find the anti belief. And then for the anti belief, you need to go out and you need to search where there is proof. Because as I keep reiterating, because this is really the basis of neutralization and the emotional matrix, you will always find the polar opposite in this world. We are governed by the universal law of polarity. We cannot have one without the other. So even if you really, 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 truly don't believe the anti belief, there is evidence out in the world. There is evidence in your relationships. There's evidence in your career, business. There's evidence on social media. You need to go seek that. And when you seek that enough times, again, you come up into the neutral point, the neutral line, and you are able to see. I teach my clients, and this is going to be a big theme inside of WoMastery Mastermind. You are able to see the whole situation for what it truly is. And when you see a situation for what it truly is, you're neutral. You're not charged to it. You can have a conversation. You understand the benefits and drawbacks of everything. So, this was a big one. There's lots to go in here. I would recommend sitting down with your journal, pausing, playing, replaying, going over this training. And as I said, every single day links together. So, this is a really important one. And yes, we can use each day that I'm teaching you in isolation. But the key, and why I've created this 5-day training, the key from me for you is to really be able to link everything that I've shared in every single day. So when you sit down and you digest this, start to think, how can I link it between day two and day one as well? Now, as always, I appreciate you all for coming along for day three. I'm very excited because we've got day four and day five still to go. We're going to be having more of a focus around nervous system regulation, around feeling safe, to bring in new change, to breaking glass ceilings, to expanding our capacity. So if you are someone who struggles, like you have a big goal and a big vision, but you're like just not able to get there, then the next couple of days we're really going to focus on those. Any questions, leave them in the comments. As I said, the application for WoMastery is in the show notes. And if you have any questions about that, just send me a DM. But I appreciate you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.